When Gabby Petito was found murdered, with her missing boyfriend Brian Laundrie being the sole person of interest, her case and the manhunt for Brian came under intense scrutiny. That case is still developing, but while we wait for answers, we wanted to tell you about 3 other people who disappeared under mysterious circumstances: Lauren Cho, Daniel Robinson, and Josue Calderon. Here are their stories. I'm Chris, and this is True Crime Recaps, bringing you all the crime in half the time. Now, if that sounds good to you, please give this a like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a recap. It only takes about a second, but it means the world to us. Thank you. Now, on with the story. In December 2020, Lauren Cho went west. She quit her job as a music teacher in New Jersey, boarded a tour bus with her friend and former boyfriend, Corey Orell, and headed towards California in search of a new life. The 2 of them ended up in a teeny artist community called Bombay Beach on the edge of the Salton Sea in the Colorado Desert in California. Less than 500 people call it home, but Lauren fit right in. She was going to be a chef, and her new friends and neighbors were her test subjects at regular dinners where she tried out recipes, according to writer Stacey Moore for the High Desert Star. She was in the middle of converting an old school bus into a food truck when she got an offer to work as a private chef for an artist collective in the Yucca Valley near Joshua Tree National Park, about 2 hours away. So, she and Corey headed north. The collective where they were staying is known as The Hole. It's owned by a mutual friend of theirs, Tao Rispoli. Fun fact, he's Olivia Wilde's ex-husband, and he was out of town when Lauren disappeared. Corey was the last person to see her. He told police she was upset when she walked away around 3 p.m. wearing a yellow t-shirt, shorts, and her Doc Martens on Monday, June 28, 2021. According to a friend talking to the High Desert Star, she was apparently trying to take her car at the time, but she didn't have the keys. She had an intention to go somewhere, and she was dating again. She didn't take anything with her, no water, no food, no phone, and when she didn't return by 5 p.m., Corey called to report her missing. The Hole is surrounded by mountains and hiking trails. The initial search included dogs, planes, and people on foot, but there was no sign of her. They didn't even find her boot prints, which made her friends wonder if she got a ride with someone. It was as if she had just vanished. Or as Corey said, there was a 10-minute window there, and she evaporated. But why? And how? Lauren was a black belt in Taekwondo. She wouldn't have been an easy victim. At the end of July, detectives brought dogs to search the whole collective, but turned up nothing. And then on October 9th, they found Lauren's body in the Yucca Valley Desert. It's not clear how far her remains were from where she was staying. How she died is also unclear, and whether it was murder or a tragic accident is still a mystery. Now let's talk about Daniel Robinson. He is the geologist at the center of another mystery playing out in the Arizona desert. The 24-year-old is from South Carolina, but he moved to Arizona in 2019 to take a job with Matrix New World Engineering. Despite the distance between them, his family says he stayed in close contact with them and seemed like his normal, happy self. But in the weeks leading up to his disappearance, something seemed to be off, and he would drop out of contact for a significant chunk of time. Then, on June 23, 2021, he disappeared and never returned. It was around 9 a.m. that morning when Daniel drove away from his worksite near Buckeye, Arizona. He was meeting with a coworker to assess a remote drill site in the desert that morning when his demeanor changed. The man he met with said this to The Independent. Around 9 a.m., he just turned around and walked back over to his Jeep, and I just assumed he was going to get something out of his vehicle. And he opened the door, got in, sat down, put his seatbelt on. Then he looked at me and just waved at me and backed up and took off. He figured he was sick or something, but when he didn't turn up at home or the office, he was reported missing that same day. 70 square miles of rugged desert was searched high and low, but there was no sign of him. And then, almost a month later, a rancher found his Jeep overturned in a ravine 2 miles away from where he was last seen, an area that was searched previously. His cell phone, keys, wallet, and his clothes were still inside, but Daniel was nowhere to be found. What happened before and after the Jeep ended up in the ravine is being debated between the police and the family's private investigator. The PI says the GPS data shows some anomalies. He told The Independent that the evidence shows the Jeep crashed 4 hours after Daniel was last seen. Another vehicle might have been involved because, according to him, there was some paint transfer found. Then, he says the evidence shows the Jeep drove another 11 miles and got into another crash. After that, the ignition was turned at least 46 more times, but there was no blood found in the Jeep, and KTR News reported that he didn't make any calls or texts after leaving the site. And that's all the clues they have to work with in this mystery. And then there's Josue Calderon. The body of the 33-year-old father was found on the Blue Ridge Parkway while police were following up a lead in the Brian Laundrie manhunt. He had been stabbed to death. Josue was living in Rhode Island when he went missing. His family says he didn't have a car, so how did he wind up 800 miles away in North Carolina? His body was found near a popular overlook spot, but how and why he ended up there and who could have done this to him are questions we still have no answers for. And that's your recap. If you know anything about Lauren Cho, Daniel Robinson, or Josue Calderon, please say something. And thanks again for spending your time with me today. If you like getting all the crime in half the time, please remember to give this a like and hit subscribe and the bell so you never miss a recap. Amy and I are here every week with new stories. Until next time, take care.